Hi everyone, I said in a video the other day, and I've been saying for quite some time actually, but I said it in a video the other day that the centrist Blairites in the Labour Party and the corporate Dems in the DNC over in America, these are the people that are stopping a populist progressive politics, really, if you like, in both countries. These are the ones that are stopping. Obviously, all the energy and all the movement is towards progressive politics. Well, not just across the, both sides of the Atlantic, but also across the world as well. And obviously these spineless splitters who buggered off the other day, or last week rather, who are not going to call by-elections, you can see that these people are pretty much, they've just announced that they will not be the MP for their constituency after the next election. They've pretty much just announced that. Nobody's going to vote them in. They're just not going to be voted in. None of them have got enough charisma or are popular enough politicians to actually, have people say, no, I'm voting for him rather than a political party or what that person stands for. They haven't got enough charisma to do that. So it's interesting to see, the Labour Party and the centrists in the Labour Party, the Blairites, really trying to tear it apart. Right in it's the worst possible time for them to do it for the Labour Party as well. But it's the best possible time if you're actually trying to hijack a progressive movement. And that's what's happening, because this is from the BBC just an hour ago. This is breaking. Labour disaffected MPs starting asked to join new group by Tom Watson. And this is not the new group. Obviously, it's a bit misleading, that headline is, because it makes you think they're moving to the independent group, doesn't it? No. Disaffected Labour MPs are to be asked to join a new group within the party in a bid to avoid further resignations. The move, led by Deputy Leader Tom Watson, Blairite neoliberal, is intended to give more of a voice to MPs from Labour's social democratic tradition. Right, okay. Call it what it is, BBC. Tom Watson is not more of a voice to MPs for Labour's social democratic tradition. Neoliberal politics of the last 30 years. Call it that, because that's what it is. That's not social democratic. What Bernie Sanders stands for, that's social democratic. Or democratic socialism, however you want to paint it. What these stand for is neoliberal politics of the last 30 years, as usual. 9 MPs from that wing of the party left Labour last week, criticising the party's leadership and direction. Mr Watson claimed on Sunday that the new internal grouping was the only way to hold the party together. That's what he said. He said it would give a platform to MPs whose views were not currently represented in Jeremy Corbyn's shadow cabinet, and a chance for them to discuss and shape policy. A source close to Mr Corbyn said more discussion about the policy was a good thing and had been the hallmark of his leadership, but signalled there would be no major shift away from current policies which were popular with voters. That's a good sign. Good sign. Mr Watson, whose close friend Ian Austin is among those who have left. Ian Austin, by the way, I piss-takingly called him a Tory and said, I think he's a Tory, I'm sure of that. I was taking the piss because he's a Tory. He might have been in the Labour Party. No, he's a Tory. And Mr Watson is is a close friend of his. What does that tell you? He warned there was a crisis for the soul of the party and urgent action was needed. In creating the new grouping, Mr Watson insisted he was not stoking a rebellion against Mr Corbyn, but standing up for pluralism within the party. No, exactly what you're doing, Mr Watson, is stoking a rebellion within the party. That's exactly what you're doing. And this is the deputy leader. When is Corbyn going to realise that there's no reaching out to neoliberals? It's the same as the neoliberal centrists reach out to the right. There's no reaching out to them. There's no reaching out to them. You have to move in the opposite direction and drag them with you. Otherwise, you end up with an Overton window that's way over there, like we've had for the last 10 years. The BBC's political correspondent Ian Watson said this. It's likely there will be a meeting of the new group in the next 48 hours because allies of Labour's deputy leaders say this is urgent if further defections are to be staved off. I have an opinion on this. And you know what? I don't think some people are going to like it, but you know what? I'm fed up of it. I've hit my limit with this shit. I'm told the group could attract a substantial number of MPs, including former ministers. Well, 8 of them have left now that voted for the Iraq war. So there's another 58 of them there that voted for there was another 58 that voted for the Iraq war. I'm assuming that the majority of those 58 are still in. I haven't checked. So if there's another 50 MPs, if those 50 were to defect, it's no great loss, is it? It won't just be a kind of support group for those who feel disillusioned and thinking of defecting. The intention is to give these MPs more influence, so more influence for the Blairite neoliberals in the party. That's the intention. And they will undertake proper policy work, so more policies than are neoliberal centrist policies. This is what Tom Watson is saying he wants, otherwise they're going to bugger off. But there could be an iron fist in this velvet glove, he says. That's a velvet glove, really? At the moment, we are seeing a steady trickle of Labour MPs leaving. If, however, a much larger group feels subsequently that their ideas are being ignored, then as one source put it, there is strength in numbers. Like I say, if there's another 50 Labour MPs who were saying that they're going to defect to this neoliberal centrist party full of politicians that don't stand for anything, that are all pro-Israel, you don't know where they're funded from, they have no platform, they're not even a political party. If you want to bugger off and get rid of, if there's 100 Blairite neoliberal MPs within the Labour Party who are doing this, let them go. Seriously, let them go. Say bye-bye. They represent failed politics. They represent a failed ideology that the world is... France are in yellow vests rioting in the streets against this, against what Tom Watson and his friends are saying is the way forward. You know, even good politicians, even good Labour politicians, I'm starting to find out, don't give a flying F about what their constituents think and what their constituents want. You know that? I'm finding more and more Labour politicians. I mean, I haven't checked the Conservatives. I'm assuming it's the same. This is where I live, Wolverhampton. This is my constituency, right? Look at that. 73,798 Wolverhamptonians backed Brexit. That's 62.6% of the vote. Only 37.4% voted against. So Wolverhampton, where I live, the constituency I'm in, which is a Labour-held constituency for, I think, going back to the 60s or 50s, right? Maybe it changed to Conservative once. I can't quite remember, but it's a Labour stronghold. You know, this is an area in the West Midlands is an area that historically has been a massive manufacturing hub for the country. And now all those manufacturing jobs have buggered off abroad, and the manufacturing jobs we have got here, they're employing, you know, slave labour, let's face it, from Eastern Europe. So the area has been devastated by neoliberalism, right? Neoliberalism has devastated the manufacturing industry in this area. And this is why people voted to leave the EU almost 2-1. Now, my MP, honestly, she's great. She's been around, she's been an MP for as long, you know, years. She went to the same school as my brothers and sisters. 62.6% of the vote in Wolverhampton voted leave, and she's pushing for a people's vote and a second referendum. That's what she's pushing for and voting for. A people's vote and a second referendum. The first referendum hasn't been enacted yet, Emma Reynolds. That's her name. The first referendum hasn't been enacted yet, and the people of your own constituency voted against the EU almost 2-1. And she's just totally ignoring them, 74,000 people, totally ignoring those people and saying, no, I know better than you, sit down and shut up. That's what she's saying. That is my MP, who's actually one of the good Labour MPs. If that's a good Labour MP, what's a bad one going to look like? If Labour really have any, if Corbyn and Labour and the supporters have any chance of getting into government, any at all, they need to get rid of those neoliberal centrist politicians within their party that do not represent the people that vote Labour and the people that want a progressive movement. So if Tom Watson and the like are threatening to leave, good. Tell them to piss off. Tell them to bugger off, the door's over there, go and see Chucker. If he doesn't do that, and you know what? He's not going to, let's face it. He's going to reach out the olive branch, the same as he always does to these neoliberals, and they're going to take the olive branch off him, and they're going to throw it in a wood chipper. This is what always happens. It's not going to go in. You cannot placate Blairites. They are the cancer that is eating your party from within. Cut it out. Out, damn spot. Stand your ground, because if you don't, you are going to lose people like me, Jeremy Corbyn. People like me are going to lose you, because if you can't stand up to the likes of Tom Watson in your party, what chance have you got of standing up to the giant neoliberal enterprise that is the EU? What chance? There's none. If you can't stand up to Tom Watson, what chance have you got of standing up against the establishment in the UK? None. I really hope he stands up to this, and I really hope this party that he's forming wants to form within the Labour Party, I hope he says, if you want to form another party, bugger off. I really hope he does. And if he doesn't, if he tries to placate these 100 centrists within these parties, these 100 Blairite neoliberals, I'm sorry, I am seriously going to change my tune on him. Quick. This is a line in the sand. You do not negotiate with neoliberals. You don't. They are not in it for the people. They are in it for themselves and the establishment and the elite. You are meant to represent the will of the people who vote for you, for Christ's sake. That's what they're meant to do. And if even good politicians are voting against their own constituents, then when their constituents voted for something almost 2-1, what chance have we got of a progressive movement in this country? Zero. Get your act together, Labour. Start standing up for us, the people in the country that want to see progressive politics, that want to see your manifesto come to fruition. If you start placating people like Tom Watson every single time they throw their dummy out the plan, guess what? Nobody's going to believe you can stand up to anybody, let alone the establishment and a neoliberal European Union. Stand up for him, for God's sake. Do not placate to these Blairites. I'm begging you. For more truly honest, independent media like the video you just saw, please subscribe and click the bell below as well so you get a notification of when I drop further videos. If you also like and share and comment on the video as well, that really helps with the algorithm and boosts exposure. And if you can support me, please do so. You can do with any of the avenues on the screen at the moment and below this video. You can support me for as little as $1 a month on Patreon, and every dollar helps. We need your support at the moment. We do not have an operating fourth estate. I'm sure you're aware a functioning media holding power accountable is vital for democracy. At the moment, we haven't got it. So people like me are having to fill their shoes and do the job for them with your support. Thanks very much for your support. Till next time. Peace and take care.